let's talk Money in the Bank, shall we? Sir and Disney here, and it is Monday, and we are going to talk about last night's WWE pay-per-view, Money in the Bank. So, before we get started, as we always do here on Pop, we're going to do a little housekeeping. I'm going to talk about a couple of things real quick, then we'll get into the pay-per-view. Now, I will state that I thank you all, for starters, for watching the videos from the weekend. We actually had 6 videos come up this weekend, 2 per day, and thank you out there to all of you that have already watched them. And if you haven't yet, go back and check out those videos if you're interested in them. Now, on Friday, AJ's movie reviews came out of Transformers: Age of Extinction, Snowpiercer, Enemy, Rob the Mob, Lullaby, and Repentance. And also, there was a video for the worst movies of the first half of 2014. Saturday brought a brand new video from our popcaster across the pond, Ashley. His annual view on annualized games, try to get that wording correctly. And also our best of the half year of movies of 2014. Now, Sunday, of course, as always, was a Versus that was actually given to us by a viewer. And they actually gave us another idea that we're going to be looking into soon. Now, one that is going to be coming soon, and one that I need to talk to AJ about to see if it's doable. We'll talk about that. And also, we ended the week with our third of the 3 videos, and that's our most anticipated for the rest of the year. So that's been taken care of. And I'll shoot with you guys straight up. Sunday was a day I basically just relaxed. I didn't really do much. I kind of relaxed. I probably should have done a couple of things, but I didn't. That's why you don't have an NXT or SmackDown recap. And we're going to have an issue here, obviously. Now, today is fine, because obviously I work till 6, and then Raw, and of course Raw is going to be your Tuesday video. That's how it always works. Tuesday should be fine, because the movie ends, and after the movie ends, I'll come back here and I'll get the video ready for Wednesday. Wednesday might be a problem. Obviously, I work Wednesday, and after I get off work, we're actually going to Deliver Us from Evil as well as Earth to Echo. We're watching Tammy on Tuesday. Yeah, I'm not excited about it either. But that will get all of our videos completely done before Friday, and then Thursday night, we will shoot all the videos as well as the brand new Versus. And on top of that, we will have the videos up on Friday. Obviously, they're going to go the same days they do, and you'll have a brand new video from Ashley on Saturday, the brand new Versus will be on Sunday, and your movie reviews will be on the 4th of July. So that's going to be taken care of as well. So, there's going to be some more Halloween Horror Nights information probably coming next week. I would guess that we're going to get some sort of a reveal sooner rather than later. And check out your Hollywood video coming up soon as well. So, also, wrestling fans, real quick, TNA Impact, I will be chatting that on Wednesday's video. So, that will be probably Wednesday's video, might be Thursday's video. Haven't quite decided. I think, yeah, that's it. Sorry, it's been a long day. Wednesday will normally be Impact, but this week I kind of had to work 2 days that I wasn't scheduled, so it threw off my timing on everything, and I basically relaxed because it was the only time I was going to be able to. That's the reason why that Impact usually is going to go on Wednesdays from now on. Is actually going to go on Thursday. So while people are watching the Impact from Thursday night live, or live on Spike, obviously it's been taped, pre-taped in New York, they are able to watch my recap of last week's Impact that I'm going to be watching. As well as NXT and SmackDown should be coming your way on Wednesday. So, I'll try to shoot both of those videos on Wednesday night, get them up on Thursday. Thursday's going to be a very busy day. Wednesday's an extremely busy day. Friday is just going to be a cool, chill-out day. So, that's what we've got right now. So, that's what's going on, and almost 5 minutes in, let's talk Money in the Bank. So, pay-per-view, of course, kicked off with our kickoff, and no match this time. No, it was just a interview segment with the returning Daniel Bryan. Of course, Daniel Bryan wanted to show up to Boston and update us on his condition. So Michael Cole comes out, and he brings Daniel Bryan out. The fans are chanting yes at the top of their lungs. Bryan goes, shh, and then, of course, they start chanting no. So he's like, okay, fine. He's like, yes! So they chant with him, of course. And then he says he's got some bad news, and he kind of smirks a bit. He's like, the strength in his arm just hasn't came back quite yet, and they may have to do another surgery. Now, this is really horrible news if you're a Daniel Bryan fan, but it also, in the long run, is going to help out his well-being. I honestly think that if he did not get these surgeries, it was going to catch up to him down the line and it'd be even worse. But if they caught it, I can't call this soon, but if they caught it early, then maybe he can be repaired quick enough to be even better than ever when he finally makes his in-ring return, which we don't know when that's going to be. There is no speculation right now on when Daniel Bryan is going to return. From his mouth himself, he said that he doesn't even know when he's coming back. But when he does come back, he says he'll be bigger and better than ever. I didn't mean to say bigger than ever. I mean, he's not going to go on a cycle or anything. I mean, he's going to bicycle, of course, but he's not going to go on any sort of cycle like that. But he said he'd rather be competing in the ring in front of the fans than watching someone take the championship that he never lost in the ring. When asked by some fans on Twitter who he thinks will walk out with the championship, he says John Cena, Randy Orton, and Roman Reigns. Of course, Cena and Orton get booed, even though we're in Cena's quote-unquote hometown, and Reigns, of course, gets cheered. You see, Triple H and Stephanie were really smug about how they took the championship off of Bryan, and Bryan says, you know what, no one could ever beat me in that group, so they just stripped me of the title to take the championship off of me instead. Someone will come back and wipe that smug smile off of Stephanie's face. Of course, he's alluding to his wife, Brie. So, in the midst of this, we hear some very familiar music, and here comes Bo Dallas down to the ring. He goes, "Hey, buddy. Gosh, it's gotta be such a pain in the neck. Haha. Life isn't about the destination, it's about the journey." And basically tells Bryan that he doesn't have to climb the ladder tonight to climb the ladder of life, and to succeed, all he simply has to do is believe. Bryan's like, with all due respect, Bo, I will say that you are a boner. So yes, he called him a boner, and the fans chant boner. And then he's like, Bo? And he points at the exit. He's like, leave. So Bo kind of smirks and he exits, and Bryan celebrates with the fans. So that's the end of the in-ring segments for the kickoff. Not too excited about this development. I really hope that Daniel Bryan gets better soon, obviously. And he doesn't have to rush back to the ring. And I think if he doesn't rush back to the ring right away, he will have a lot more longevity when it comes to an in-ring career. And speaking of that, there was something that I mentioned. I found out right before the pay-per-view went on the air that the former Sterling James Keenan, Corey Graves of NXT, actually has suffered his second concussion, and apparently, from what I'm hearing, he is going to be forced to retire from active competition. So we will not see Corey Graves wrestling in NXT any longer. I'm not sure what they're going to do with him at this point. I mean, I can't really call him... He could be a manager, but I mean, the problem with that is managers have to take bumps. I know how that works. But maybe an analyst. Maybe he could take Tensai's spot when he was Jason Albert. We can try that. Maybe he can give his opinions. Obviously, don't forget, back in the day, in the long ago, in IWA Mid-South videotapes, CM Punk provided commentary once upon a time, so maybe you can see Corey Graves provide some analyzation of the action in the ring. Doesn't have to do play-by-play, but he can say what it's like to take these maneuvers. Then again, there's a lot more former wrestlers turned commentators now in the business, so I guess it's just going to continue. It's a tough break for Corey Graves because he's one of the several superstars now that have been, quote-unquote, snake-bitten, as they've been deemed not able to take a risk on them because they're concussion-prone. And obviously, this has ended a lot of careers, and WWE takes this extremely seriously. So in order to prevent anything further happening physically to Corey Graves, obviously, he had to retire from in-ring competition, which is a shame, but it's better to have somebody's livelihood than somebody worrying about their work in the ring. So it's better to have someone alive than someone not alive. So yeah, that's pretty much how I look at it. The actual kickoff completely ended with a Wyatt family promo and Luke Harper saying, "Your time is up, Usos, tick tock, tick tock," and it ended with Eric Rowan saying, "Run," after Harper says, "We're coming." Excuse me. And how did the pay-per-view start? Well, of course, we start off with our WWE Tag Team Championship match. It is Jimmy and Jey Uso defending the titles against Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. The Usos come out to a lukewarm reaction. And the Wyatt family come out to a really nice reaction. We start off with the child that was singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands." And then it ends with a Wyatt interruption, and it goes into this really awesome music, and I really like the way they did the entrance. First thing you see is you shoot it up, you shoot the upper half of the body, and Harper and Rowan are walking to the ring methodically, and I think it looked really awesome. So, as we do with pay-per-views, the time frame was a little different, so normally I pick it up about 10 minutes into the match, and that's what I did with the tag match, and we're going to start about 10 minutes in. So Jimmy hits the Rikishi special in the corner on Eric Rowan, ducks Harper's clothesline, and springs to the top rope, whispering their 1-1-2 and a kick out. Clotheslines Eric Rowan over the top rope to the floor, and he goes for a scoop slam, lands on his feet, 2 super kicks on Harper, gets a 2 count, and Jay gets caught by Rowan, and Jimmy with the Samoan suicide dive onto Rowan, sending, of course, him down to the ground. He charges him for the tope. He caught Harper's big boot, and Jay super kicks Rowan for good measure, and Jimmy rolls him up 1-2 and a kick out. Harper plants him with a sit-out powerbomb. Jimmy gets kicking out at 2. So Harper with the tope onto Jay, and Jimmy's Samoan suicide dive is caught by Eric Rowan, and Harper with a tope on Jimmy Uso, and tosses him back in, tags Rowan. Rowan's the legal man now. And then something interesting happens. And I don't know how many reviewers are going to go for this, but this is what I see. Apparently, that was some point in the career of Luke Harper in the Indies that obviously he ran across one Trent Acid and Johnny Cashmere. And obviously there was something there because, yeah, they used the Backseat Boys T gimmick. Yeah, they hit the T gimmick on Jimmy Uso. And after they teed him up, they nailed it, and Jey Uso makes the save. So Harper, with a running boot in the corner, he gets crotched on top, and he gets super kicked off. Rowan with the avalanche on Jimmy. He goes up top, he gets crotched, and a big right hand by Jimmy. He climbs up, he gets shoved off. He charges back up to the top, a big right hand, tagging to Jay. The Usos climb up, and a tandem superplex on Eric Rowan. Tag in, he goes up top, does Jimmy, Samoan splash connects, tag into Jay, Samoan splash connects, 1, 2, 3, and the Usos retain the WWE Tag Team Championships. I thought this would be the time that Rowan and Harper won the belts, but no, it was not to be. I would say right now that I wouldn't do it at Battleground either. I would say that they lose the titles at SummerSlam in some sort of a stipulation match of some sort. Obviously, you gotta do something so you can get some heat on the SummerSlam match, and that's what I think will happen. You obviously have the Wyatt family go over in a lot of matches that don't have the titles on the line, so when the championships are up for grabs, the Usos come out on top. And the question is, where does this lie with bringing Connor and Victor, the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Ascension, up to the main roster? Are the Ascension going to make their presence known? I think by summer's end, the Ascension will be on WWE television, and I think it's the right direction to go. Really great feud I could see with the Ascension and the Usos, and with the Wyatt family. Like I said, the storyline with the Wyatts and the Usos writes itself. They're both the dominant tag teams of their era of NXT. Now, granted, NXT doesn't have an extremely long lineage, but when it comes down to it, when the Wyatt family left, the Ascension, pun not intended, rose. So when they started to rise, basically what happened was the Wyatt family started to rise in WWE. They were not the tag team champions, but they still rose to the occasion every single time. So yes, I do think that it writes itself, and I think that Harper and Rowan need to come down to NXT and start this, and then WWE, Connor and Victor show up to finish it. I don't know if you're going to make the Ascension face or heel when they come up. I would say it makes sense to make them heels, but they are so over at Full Sail. And then again, that's Full Sail. So NXT crowds are completely different. I don't know if you make them baby faces off the top or if you make them the hardcore heel challengers. It's anyone's guess, but still, it's going to be interesting to see when they get brought up to the main roster. Dean Ambrose has got a camcorder and he is filming his own promo. He basically has to make a decision. Does he want to win the briefcase or does he want to rearrange Seth Rollins' face? He's like, case or face? Case or face? Why not both? So Ambrose basically makes the decision that he is not only going to completely obliterate his former Shield partner, but on top of that, he's going to take the Money in the Bank contract for the championship match down the line as an added bonus. So we get our next match, and it is Divas Championship on the line. Paige defending against Naomi. Naomi coming out with Cameron as always. Cameron looking rather uninterested to be there. Yes, the seeds have been planted for the breakup of the Funkadactyls. I'm very glad they're going with Cameron being the heel here. I know in some ways, in an old school mentality, the heel has to carry sometimes, has to carry the workload, but I think in this way it's still going to work. I think Cameron, her personality, her character personality, not Ariane Andrew, I mean her character personality. Her character is very unlikable, so I think it would work really well, because Naomi's very well liked, and I think that it would work pretty well, and I think that once that feud gets out of the way, we can go on to bigger and better things for Naomi, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. If there was any indication by the match that we saw on Money in the Bank last night, this was a really good match between these two, and one of the best non-NXT women's matches I've seen on WWE programming this year. So we pick it up midway through the match, and she goes up top, and Naomi gets crotched up. Paige climbs up, going for the superplex, and some sort of a miscommunication, and both ladies tumble to the floor. They roll back in at 9. A backslide is countered, straight kick to the ribs, and Paige locks on a stump puller. Yes, have not seen that since the days of the late great Matt Bourne's version of Doink the Clown. And it gets bridged back into a pin, 1-2, and a kick out. Whip in, ducks the clothesline, and a somersault clothesline by Naomi off the ropes, a snap rana, and a drop kick. Nice stiff European uppercut, whip in, and rear view connects 1-2, and Paige kicks out. So she goes up top, and she gets stopped. High kick from Naomi, and split-legged moonsault with the knees up by Paige. Paige goes for the PTO, but he gets countered in a roll-up 1-2 and a kick-out. And she goes for her falling inverted DDT, does Naomi. It gets countered. She bear hugs her and nails the Rampage for the first time on WWE television. The Cradle DDT finishes her 1-2-3, and Paige retains the Divas Championship in a great match. Great back-and-forth contest. And after the match is over, to take away some suspicion that there's going to be a Funkadactyl split in the future, Cameron basically coddles Naomi and hugs her and says it's going to be okay and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what we had of this. Really good match. I mean, it seems to me that what we're doing right now is, some people might say we're killing time until AJ returns, and then AJ and Paige can have their feud that was kind of snuffed out when AJ needed time off for the company. I would think that that's our end game here, but Naomi's doing great, and she's going to have a great career and probably a lot of Divas Championship victories in her future. Just not quite yet. So, of course, we're in Boston. So, here comes Paul Revere, wearing his awesome hat, and of course it's Damien Sandow, because I'm happy Sandow's on the show. Granted, last year, this very time, he won Money in the Bank, and now he's doing this. It's just, how the mighty have fallen. He says the half-wits are coming, the half-wits are coming. Losers, Here, dressed as losers, the half-wits have already arrived, and basically he's calling the Rosebuds half-wits. He says, Boston will always be living in the shadow of New York. Of course, what's the first thing you do? When you go to Boston, you put over New York if you're a heel. It's a cheap way to get heat, and it works every single time. So, of course, we're talking about the Rosebuds, which means we're getting Adam Rose on this show, and Adam Rose comes out with the Rosebuds in tow, and he gets on the mic, he says, turn that frown upside down. Boston is the place to party. And he falls, loses his balance, falls off the apron onto the crowd surfing of the Rosebuds. And an attack from behind from Sandow, and he ends up getting, like, shoulder tossed over the top rope to the floor. This match is really short, so I pretty much went move for move on this one. Ducks the right hand, a boot by Sandow, vicious shoulder blocks in the corner, and a back elbow, whip in, tip up, and I wrote shimmy. Basically, he grinded his buttocks into the face of Sandow. Yeah, it looked really awkward, and Sandow just awkwardly goes to the floor to stop any of this. So Rose gets pulled out of the ring, and Sandow rains down the knee strikes, dumps him to the floor, rolls him in, gets a one off of it, and a knee to the back, and he rains down the elbows, ROH style. Chinlock punches his way out, comes off the ropes, back elbow by Sandow, mows him over. Knee drop and a leaping knee drop, and he goes for the Kobito Akiyet, and he yells, the elbow is coming, the elbow is coming. I thought that was hilarious. And he got a 2 off of that, and a chin lock. A counter by Adam Rose, and of course, boot in, whip in, charges in. He gets the knees up, and a big forearm, and then another forearm for good measure. Whip in, reverse, ducks the clothesline, and the snap jabs on Sandow. Big right hand, charging elbow, and a back kick in the corner. And they're kind of like mule kicks, like repeated mule kicks. And of course, he yells choo-choo, goes for the Exotic Express, and Sandow mows him down with a clothesline. So he takes his jacket off. He's like, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Paul Revere is dead. Damien Sandow is here, and he's about ready to take advantage. And he actually hits the You're Welcome, the full Nelson bomb, and gets a 2 off of that. And he channels his inner Lanny Poffo when he hits the honor roll, the moonsault off the middle rope, and of course it misses. He walks into the party foul, 1, 2, 3, and of course the Rosebuds party, and that's the end of this segment. So, really good back and forth match between these two. I hope they do something with that on Raw tonight. I think they will. It's one of the longest matches we've seen Adam Rose have. Actually, we had a long match from 2 superstars that normally do pretty much squashes lately. Adam Rose in this match, and Rusev later on in the show. Well, we'll talk about that as we progress in this video. So, the camera spots Jon Stewart in the crowd, and apparently there's some other guy, some sports guy, I don't know. And Noelle Foley was actually in the crowd too, so that was kind of cool. So, it's time for our first Money in the Bank match. This is for the actual Money in the Bank briefcase that will give the winner a shot at the WWE World Heavyweight Championship somewhere down the line at a time of their choosing if they secure the victory. And this match got some bad news, pun intended, right off the top, because via the injury in the match with Jack Swagger, actually the match was with Dean Ambrose, and that was on SmackDown, which we'll talk about that on Wednesday. Actually, we will talk about that on Wednesday because I haven't talked about it yet. The match with Dean Ambrose on SmackDown on Wednesday, Swagger came out and basically had an attack after the match was over. He threw Wade Barrett into the barricade, and Barrett injured his shoulder pretty badly. So basically, he was pulled from this match at the last minute. And the Intercontinental Champion, hopefully he will be getting well soon to deliver some more bad news in the near future. So now this brought it down to 6 men vying for the briefcase, being the master of laser tag, Seth Rollins, Rob Van Dam, Kofi Kingston, the crowd favorite, Dolph Ziggler, as well as Jack Swagger, and the aforementioned Dean Ambrose. So, this match, I picked it up about 15 minutes in. And the reason why was because, look at all of this. That's a lot of writing. So, this was easily the better of the 2 matches, and probably is tied with the Rusev Big E match as easily the shine on this card. So Swagger goes for a superplex off the top of the ladder. But he gets punched, and he gets knocked off. Rob Van Dam and Seth Rollins are fighting on top of the ladder, and Van Dam ends up going for a superplex of his own. He gets blocked, Swagger climbs up, and Van Dam gets popped by Seth Rollins, who doesn't realize, I know he realizes, he is setting up Jack Swagger, who has maneuvered himself underneath of Van Dam, and he nails the falling powerbomb off the ladder onto Rob Van Dam. So Ambrose sends Swagger into the ladder, he climbs up, and he superplexes Rollins off the top of the ladder. Ambrose sets the ladder up, going for the climb, and Dolph dropkicks the ladder right into his face. Swagger has the slingshot into Dolph onto the ladder on Ambrose, who's laying prone. So Swagger ends up tossing Kofi. He drops the ladder onto Kofi for good measure. With the ladder on top of Kofi, he nails the Swagger bomb with Kofi underneath the ladder, and Swagger sets up the ladder. He starts to climb. Van Dam comes in. They climb up. They trade punches on top. Ambrose ends up hitting the Jawbreaker Lariat on Swagger, and Seth Rollins comes in and takes Van Dam off. The former Shield members trade punches on top of the ladder, and Ambrose punches Rollins off. Swagger comes in, pulls off, and a takedown countered by Ambrose into a DDT, and he aggravated his elbow injury from the previous SmackDown. So Rollins climbs, and Ambrose knocks Rollins off. Throat first across the top ropes. The doctors come in to check on Ambrose, and basically they tell him to leave, so he's done. He's like, pop it back in. And of course, he's cursing a mile a minute. And the doctors just toss Dean Ambrose out of the match. So he's gone. Or so we thought. Rollins climbs up. Van Dam comes in, punches Rollins. They fight on top of the ladder. High kick from Van Dam and a nice shot. Kofi ends up putting a ladder on the top rope. He climbs up using it as a bridge. Kofi elbowed off, Van Dam gets knocked off, and Rollins with a headbutt, and Kofi gets grabbed, and he backdrops Rollins off onto the ladder, which is bridged across. So Dolph grabs Kofi, pulls him off, and the SOS is countered in the exclamation point DDT, and he ducks Swagger's clothesline, the crossbody punches, charges in with a 10-punch, Hangman's neckbreaker, and Van Dam clothesline duck drop kick by Dolph Ziggler. So he has the name dropper on Van Dam, who spikes like an exclamation point like he does oh so well. Ziggler super kicks the ladder back into Swagger, saying, screw you for ruining my push. And, hey, it's true. So he ducks the ladder, ducks Trouble in Paradise, a zigzag Kofi on the ladder. So he hit hard, and it looked vicious. Dolph climbs up the ladder. Swagger comes in, grabs the ankle, locks on the Patriot Lock, and Dolph still valiantly tries to climb the ladder, but he kicks off Swagger, and Dolph looks up at the briefcase. He grabs at it. Rollins grabs a steel chair, nails the ankle of Dolph, which has already been tenderized by the Patriot Lock, and vicious chair shots to the back. He boots Dolph out of the ring for good measure. Rollins climbs up. Here comes Ambrose from the back, and 2 chair shots to the back, and he starts wearing out Seth Rollins with the steel chair. He tosses him out. Ambrose climbs up. And out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Zeb get escorted by the side by officials. And then right after that happened, Kane's pyro goes off, and he comes out. So yes, they saved Zeb Coulter's life at this point. He gets in the ring. He chokeslams Ambrose. He tombstones Ambrose. He steadies the ladder as Seth Rollins ascends the ladder and attaches his mitts to the briefcase and pulls the case down, thus becoming Mr. Money in the Bank. After the match was over, Triple H and Stephanie came out and they celebrated with Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins is now Money in the Bank. This is interesting. This sets up a lot of things that possibly could happen now. Is he's going to remain Money in the Bank? Will he cash in? Will he put the contract up against someone else, i.e. Dean Ambrose at Battleground maybe, and lose it? anything's possible. It just kind of depends. Interesting direction to go. I would say it pays off his heel turn and the fact that he did not join Evolution, because there is no Evolution anymore, and he did not really join the Authority. He's kind of like loosely aligning himself as a mercenary for hire for Triple H and Stephanie. That's pretty much what Seth Rollins is. And he has awesome laser tag pants. So yeah, that was it. And yeah, there should have been a lot more to that match, but I'm sorry I had to wait a little bit longer before I started writing, because if not, I would have like 3 pages of stuff, because it was all really decent high spot matches. I'll say right now that I wish Dolph could have got another moment in that match. He had a lot of awesome shine in that match, but he did not have a major bump. I guess that's a good thing. In essence, you don't take a major bump in a Money in the Bank ladder match, but still, I think everybody did a great job, and I think that everyone is going to be nursing their wounds sometime later today when they wake up. We get our next match. It is tag team action. It is Goldust and Stardust against Ryback. Curtis Axel sporting a new singlet, kind of looking a little bit like Scott Norton, if you will. I'm surprised he didn't go with the Perfect Style singlet, but he went with a singlet, and of course that's why Ryback has a singlet. So they're best buddies, and of course they got the beanie hats, and I really like Ryback as a team, but obviously their momentum has been quickly had the brakes put on it by this new team of Goldust and Stardust. So yeah, let's talk about this match. I enjoyed this match for what it was. It went pretty fast. Nice fast-paced matchup. Let's pick it up midway through. A chin lock by Ryback on Goldust. Goldust punches his way out and a scoop slam. And he goes to the middle turnbuckle, and Ryback hits the falling splash. Before that, of course, he tags in Curtis Axel. Axel comes in with a Bret Hart elbow and gets a 2 off of that. Chin lock by Axel, and Goldust punches his way out. A right hand off the ropes. Axel with a back elbow. Excuse me. Stomp in, tagging a Ryback. Whip in to Axel's elbow, and Ryback with a nice avalanche. Ryback goes for a vertical suplex and gets countered. Sunset flip and a drop down by Ryback on Goldust is countered into a roll up 1-2 and a kick out. Goldust gets caught with a huge spine buster, and he charges in to catch a back elbow. Ryback charges in the corner, and Goldust out of the way. Stardust is now the legal man. So Stardust is then ducks the clothesline, and a hooking clothesline, straight drop kick, front drop kick to the knee of Ryback. Ryback gets the upper hand, military press into a boot in, a drop down uppercut, of course. He goes for crossroads, and he gets put on the ring apron. A headbutt and a springboard into a elbow to the top of the head. He goes for the cross-arm DDT, and of course, that does not connect. Ducks the clothesline. Goldust low bridges Curtis Axel to the floor. Ryback catches Stardust with shell shock, and he gets countered in a crossroads, and Axel makes a save before 3. So Axel with a forearm on Ryback inadvertently, and Stardust rolls up Ryback from behind 1-2-3, and Stardust and Goldust win this thing. So Axel attacks Stardust from behind and ducks the clothesline, and Axel gets caught. They pick him up and a DDT out of that, and that's the end of that. So really good mid-card match between these two. I don't think it's over between these two, and I don't think that we will go this week on television, whether it's Raw tonight or SmackDown on Friday, without seeing another match between these two teams. I don't know if it's going to be singles matches or it's going to be an involvement of these 4 superstars in singles matches, or we see another tag team match. I say that's pretty much a guarantee at this point. So we get to see the awesome, and I do mean awesome, referee getup that Fandango has on. He's got the referee stripes, but they're bedazzled, and they're dazzly, and they're sparkly. And on the back, of course, he's got his Fandango logo. The nice silhouette he has that used to be all up in lights above the ring, but now is unfortunately no longer there. And he says, they say that it's a triangle, obviously, between Fandango, Layla, and Summer Rae, and he's like, Fandango loves triangles. You just know we need to get him on Sesame Street so he can say that, and it'd be awesome. So Layla says he's in love, and Summer Rae's like, yeah, he's in love with me, and basically, I'll just cut out the middleman. Summer Rae talks about she has longer legs, and Layla talks about how she has big brains, And obviously, Summer doesn't have such big brains. And when it comes down to it, Summer has natural brains, though. And obviously, Layla does not. So, yes, that was really interesting. Yeah, it built up the match, I guess. But it's going to be another segment if we're going to get that, because we get our next match. It is Rusev against Big E. Big E, of course, sporting the red, white, and blue colors, obviously. And this match was really good. I think this is probably the most competitive match that Rusev and Big E have had so far, and I think it's their best one to date. I know it's pretty much a go to the well every single time they go for the spear off the ring apron, but it still looks more awesome every single time it's done. And this was the first time that Rusev looked like he actually could lose. A lot of people were thinking that Rusev actually might lose the match, even though you knew he wasn't going to, but you had to believe for just a second that maybe Rusev's going to lose tonight. Maybe Big E is the kryptonite to this power. I mean, anything's possible. So we pick up midway through the match, a belly-to-belly suplex after Rusev misses a splash, and that gets a 2 off of that. Rusev reigns with the knees in the corner, and he charges in, and Big E plants him with a monstrous STO, gets a 2 off of that. And after the match, after that right there, basically Rusev was kind of thrown off his game. So he charges in with the shoulder, and he comes off the ropes, a big clothesline, and he goes for the big splash, but of course, before he can leap, he gets stopped, going for the Muay Thai kick, and of course, Big E's seen this before, and he grabs the ropes to stop the momentum, and he nails an overhead belly-to-belly release suplex, and Big E spears Rusev off the ring apron, and they both hit hard on the floor. Once again, they toss him in 1, 2, and Rusev kicks out before the 3. So he drops the straps like he's going to finish Rusev off. Rusev goes to the ring apron, and he catches Big E right in the ear with a high kick, completely discombobulating him and making him unable to function. And he then proceeds to mow Big E over with the Muay Thai kick, which does connect this time. Rusev stomp, Rusev lock on the Accolade, and Big E actually breaks it. Or he looked like he was going to break it. He was kind of getting up to his knees to try to reverse some of the momentum. And then Rusev just cranked back on that sucker and bent him in half. And Big E had to give it up, so that was the end of that. I really enjoyed this match. Really good contest between these two. Yeah, Rusev showed a lot in this match, and Rusev showed that he can be just as vulnerable as anyone, and that's something that has been missing from the Rusev character, vulnerability. And I think that Big E brought it out of him, and I do think that we get our match at Battleground, the flag match, just writes itself. They really need to do a flag match between Big E and Rusev. It might be a Raw match or a SmackDown match. I'd say probably a Raw match, or you can, like I said, you can do it on Battleground, which is kind of a B pay-per-view, so you're not like doing it at SummerSlam or anything like that. I do think that SummerSlam probably finishes this feud. I do think that we get something else, and maybe Big E finally conquers Rusev at SummerSlam. It's anyone's guess. Don't forget, at one point, John Cena did state that he wants to work with Big E, so what better way to work with somebody than have him vanquish the person that has run roughshod through the company for the last several months. Again, practically writes itself. Stephanie's in the back when Nikki and Brie are talking. This is the first time we've seen Brie for a long time, and Stephanie's wondering why Brie is there, and Brie is like, I'm just trying to support Daniel, and when it comes down to it, Stephanie doesn't like that, and pretty much just has security escort her out after Brie forces her to watch her new favorite video, which is when Vicky Guerrero ended up throwing Stephanie in the mud or muck pit on Raw last week. So yeah, that's what we got there. Fandango comes out with great reaction from the crowd, at least as much as it could be at this point, and he's wearing these really awesome black tights that say girls, girls, girls on it in red. It's like Motley Crue reference, basically. And a sparkly shirt, obviously. He's wearing the sparkly ref shirt with the Fandango logo on the back. Layla comes out to 0 reaction. Summer Rae comes out to a decent reaction. And Layla's wearing this masquerade-style mask. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. This match was really short, and it didn't really need to be anything longer. It is Summer Rae versus Layla, with Fandango as a special guest referee. It is your semi-main event for Money in the Bank. Wrap your head around that. It's what we call a bathroom break match. No offense. Layla locks on a modified Indian Deathlock, and of course a boot to the knee and a slam face first into the canvas by Summer Rae, and a hair pull takedown, a hair mare out of the corner, charges in with a body scissors into a DDT, and she punches her way out, and Layla with an elbow, and catches Summer Rae with a kick straight in the face, and gets the 3 off of that. So yeah, after the match is over, Fandango and Layla make out, and that's the end. Okay, number 1, who's the face, who's the heel? I don't think WWE knows, and I don't think I know at this point. Obviously, Layla will be the heel, but Summer Rae's also the heel too, and they're both acting like heels. Summer Rae even threw a temper tantrum after the match was over, so obviously she's the heel, but Layla's definitely not the face, so I don't know where the heck we're going to go with this at this point. It's anyone's guess. If anything, it gives Fandango and Summer Rae TV time, and I'm always about that. I really think that the end game should be that Fandango and Summer Rae get back together, and they're the heels, and Layla turns face and brings in someone else in order to get her revenge. But this is like a never-ending process. I want this feud to end, to be totally honest. Well, it's kind of cool to hear the old Lay Cool music when Layla wins, even though I'm not surprised why Layla won. I'm not surprised. I'm kind of surprised that Layla won. I really am. So, time for our main event. It is your 8-way Money in the Bank ladder match for the now vacant WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And, of course, you have Randy Orton come out, no reaction. Sheamus comes out, mixed reaction. Bray Wyatt comes out, incredible reaction. Roman Reigns comes out, great reaction. Del Rio comes out, no reaction. Kane comes out, no reaction. John Cena comes out, gets booed out of the building in his quote-unquote hometown. West Newbury, I believe, is not that far from Boston. And Cesaro comes out with Paul Heyman, of course, with his facial hair, wearing the old-school red and black robe, and having Heyman by his side. Honestly, Cesaro looked a lot like Steve Austin back in the Dangerous Alliance days. The only thing that Heyman was missing was a cellular phone, like one of those giant block 80s-style cellular phones that Paulie Dangerously used to have back in the day. And Cesaro got a really good reaction, too. Alright, we pick it up about 15 minutes into this match, because my god, it went a half hour. Cena gets nailed with a brogue kick by Sheamus, and he tosses Orton out, and Sheamus climbs up. He gets stopped by Kane, and that's because Kane drag him out of the ring. Kane gets sent into the steps, and Cesaro grabs a ladder and puts it across the top rope. Cesaro walks up using it as a bridge. This has been utilized a lot. They trade blows, Sheamus and Cesaro. Del Rio puts the ladder in between, and he climbs up. Cena tosses Del Rio, and Roman Reigns lifts the ladder, showing his tremendous strength, and Cesaro is hanging on by a thread. Sheamus grabs back to try to grab the championships, and they trade blows. Cena shoves the ladder back over, so it rights itself. And Cena climbs up, and Bray Wyatt stops him and does that suplex toss on top of the ladder that is precariously between the ladder and the top rope at this point. So they toss Cena onto the ladder, and Bray gets sent on the ladder by Kane, and Kane pulls Cesaro off. Sheamus grabs the championships, and Orton and Kane pull him off. So Orton sends Sheamus out, and Roman Reigns spears Kane. Orton hits Reigns with the ladder, and RKO by Orton is tossed off into the Superman punch, charges in to the boots by Sheamus, and a Superman punch to Sheamus. Roman with a leaping drop kick to Del Rio, and he hits one with Bray while he's face first on the announce table. Spear on Cesaro on the floor. Cena comes in with a stare down on Reigns, the present and the future, battling it out. They trade blows. Ducks the clothesline. AA is countered, and Cena gets speared to a huge pop from the crowd. So Reigns sets the ladder up. Orton grabs the foot and a 3.0 off the ladder. Orton climbs up. Bray pulls him off. Sister Abigail on Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt ascends the ladder. Del Rio punches him off to a really not a good reaction for Del Rio, obviously because they wanted Bray to win at this point. He nails the step-up enziguri kick and a vicious GSK on Bray Wyatt, and you could just, the spit flew off. It was awesome. Great sound, too. Del Rio climbs up, grabs the championship. Sheamus shoves the ladder over, and when Del Rio lands on his feet, he eats the brogue kick, and Sheamus climbs up. Cesaro pulls him off in a Swiss death, and Gotch-style neutralizer. Cesaro climbs up. Orton pulls him off into the RKO, one of the best moves of the match. Orton climbs off. Roman Reigns pulls him off. They fight, and Orton goes face first in the ladder. He elbows off, and don't forget, Orton beginning of this match, actually, there was a spot where Orton got the ladder slammed right to the top of his head, so it busted him open hard way. So Orton has been bleeding this entire match. At one point, the beginning of the match, before I started writing, that actually happened, and the doctors were trying to quiet the blood, like stop the bleeding before they let Orton continue. And Orton was just a crimson mass by this time. He's not like several Muta scale, but it was pretty good. It was a nice little match for Orton, nice little thing of blood. And obviously, another thing I didn't mention was a spot that happened in the match that harkened us back to the old TLC matches of old, where Cesaro and Sheamus were left holding both championships, and the ladder got knocked off, and they were fighting to stay on the ladder, and the ladder got sent to the ground, and they're basically hanging on by a thread by the championships, and of course the championships just were not giving, they were not going anywhere, and both men got knocked off the ladder, knocked off the championships, and that was a really interesting spot to start off the match. Like midway through is when I picked it up, but that was one of the starting spots of the match. So, Orton climbs up, and Roman Reigns climbs up, and he headbutts him. And Kane goozles Roman, chokeslams him off the ladder. Orton climbs up. Cena's in. He AA's Kane, and Cena pulls Orton off. He AA's Orton on top of Kane. He climbs up, grabs the championships, and John Cena is your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, to the much, much delight of the IWC. This made perfect sense to me, and I thought that Cena was the right person to go over. And obviously it sets up the match at SummerSlam that they've already pretty much given away to be John Cena against the returning Brock Lesnar. Because obviously Cena's going to drop the title to Lesnar, and then Lesnar's going to lose the championship to... question mark? Could be Roman Reigns. Could be Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan should take the title off Lesnar, but I don't know, maybe not. I mean, obviously, Will would probably be thinking this right now. In a perfect world, if he was healthy, I'd say The Undertaker would take the title off Brock Lesnar and pay him back for WrestleMania, but no, that would never happen in a million years. It's just kind of like armchair Booker situation right there. So, and who knows, maybe Lesnar won't win the championship, or maybe we'll do some sort of a three-way so Lesnar doesn't have to get pinned to lose the match. I mean, anything's possible. There's a lot of directions you can go. Overall, the show was pretty good. It was a decent show for what it was. What I'd recommend on this show, honestly, I would recommend the Usos and Rowan and Harper. That was really good. Easily one of the best matches of the night. Paige and Naomi had a pretty good match after the horrible botch. I mean, there was a few really good things, but there was that one botch that kind of ruins everything. But that's how it works sometimes. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Definitely check out the Money in the Bank contract ladder match. That match was amazing, and definitely easily one of the matches of the night without any doubt. Goldust to Stardust against Ryback. So we've seen it before, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't something you needed to skip over. I wouldn't have fast forwarded or DVR'd over it or anything like that. Rusev and Big E put on their best match to date, and it's definitely worth seeing. And the main event was okay, but not enough happened in the match, and not enough will come out of it. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen on Raw tonight and find out where we go from here. What's going to happen with Bad News Barrett in the Intercontinental Championship? What's going to happen with Sheamus in the United States Championship? Are the Usos going to give a rematch to Rowan and Harper tonight? Is that going to possibly happen? What is John Cena going to have to say about, once again, for the 15th time becoming the WWE World Heavyweight Champion? And where does Seth Rollins fit in all this? And will he cash in tonight? I doubt it, but it could happen. And where there's Rollins, there's Ambrose seething, waiting to attack. And I'm sure that's going to happen. So yeah, interesting Raw we have going down the pike tonight. I believe we're in Connecticut. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think we might be in Hartford, Connecticut. I could be wrong, but that's just trying to remember what I saw on Twitter, whether it's right or not. So, that was your Money in the Bank recap, and wrestling fans, I'll join you tomorrow for Raw, and then we're going to be talking NXT and SmackDown on Wednesday and Thursday, TNA Impact. So, that's going to be coming, and of course, this coming Friday, we're going to be talking about the AJ's movie reviews coming on Friday. There will be a video talking about movies just like Tammy. And we're going to be watching Delivers from Evil and Earth to Echo. There's going to be some more limited releases on that video as well. And of course, Brand New Verse is coming on Sunday. Ashley's segment, our Popcaster from Across the Pond, is coming on Saturday. And more Halloween Horror Nights news when I get it. So yeah, that's coming. So that was the video for today. And if you like this video, and if you like Pop, tell your friends about it. Leave a comment, do subscribe. Help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, like our Facebook fan page. It is Sir Owen Disney Pop on Facebook. If you want to send me a friend request on Facebook, it is Owen Disney. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's at Sir Owen Disney. And last but certainly not least, if you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions, you want to talk Money in the Bank with me, wrestling with me, or you want to talk Disney or Universal, Halloween Horror Nights, you want to ask me questions I'd never answer here in a million years, or if you'd like to become a Popcaster yourself, you send your content, your videos, your contributions, or your ideas for segments you want to see on this channel to my email, sirowendisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.